Call the meeting to order.
He told John, go ahead, shoot the squirrels.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bell.
Here.
Trustee Brewer. Here. Trustee Grant. Trustee Dominici. Here. Trustee Todd. Here. Trustee Williams. Here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of personnel matters. Moved by Trustee Todd, second by Trustee Bell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Trustee Grant. Yes. Trustee Dominici. Yes. Trustee Todd. Yes. Trustee Williams. Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Reconvene. First item of discussion, Trustee Brewer and Trustee Todd. Amendment to the ordinance 18-009, salary and requirements for treasurer.
Well, I'm presenting these ordinances because these are the two ordinances that Trustee Brewer had brought to the board. It's already come through our committee. Now, what I'm going to give you, because I think in your packet, it just shows what Trustee Brewer had presented, but I want you to see the original ordinance, is what I'm going to pass out to you, and then tell you what the ordinance review. I'm not sure if you, because I see you're on here, Trustee Brewer, is there things that you want to say?
Okay, just to reiterate. It's
Aye.
please. Right on there. Okay. Just to let you know what the ordinance is about, we're trying to amend ordinance 18009, because when this ordinance was first presented, it increased the amount to $14,000 for the treasurer. And since since the budget has been passed, we want to reduce that back down to $6,000. And also, we want to include the language for the security bonds, which is part of the treasurer's duty. So what we did on this ordinance is that we combined both, and we want to reduce the initial amount from 14 back to 6,000, and also add language for the treasurer to secure a bond for
Is this the amendment? Okay, this is the amendment. That's the old.
this is the last one. That's the one last year. Yeah, I got that.
What's in mind?
Oh, okay. Well,
That's the one that Trustee Brewer had brought before the board. Now, with the ordinance review committee, when we met on this one, we would like to see that language added. It needs to go back to 6,000 because it's currently at 14,000. It's never been amended. It's back to 6,000. So it needs to be put back to 6,000. And now, like I said, I can only give you our review. You can say yay or nay when it comes to where she wanted the surety bonds, just that it would state that they have been surety bonds.
I have a question. Section 3 for the, I guess this would be the amended version. From section 3. It says the treasurer shall maintain a surety bond in such a sure equal to the current cash balance. It says sure. So it's such a sure equal. What I'm asking is, who pays that bond payment?
well, according to the Sauk Village Code, and I should have brought that copy with me, it's actually stated in the Sauk Village Code that the village has to pay for it whenever we, get a bond of this thing.
Okay, so the village will pay for that.
And the main purpose for amending this ordinance is to make sure the language was right. That's why I needed to go to the ordinance review committee, so we wasn't, I wasn't quite sure of the language, so that's why I put it in there like that. So if we need to change something, we might have to turn over to the attorney, because I'm not quite sure of the language. I don't know if you
Because the first one you have has that, and it also has on your back sheet, the trustees that passed it at that time. So my question is, I guess you're gonna, the ordinance review committee is going to put it in to the current trustees, I'm pretty sure, and to have it amended. But that amendment is not, I guess you're gonna take section 3 out, I'm sorry, put section 3 in where?
well,
Are you gonna add another? Because there's nothing on this at all about surety bonds. So are you gonna add that into the ordinance itself?
Whoever actually drafts this up for the ordinance, they have to put it in there. I wasn't quite sure where it belongs or how it should be stated. So it should be in section 3.
No, it's not in section. In the old ordinance, there's nothing in the ordinance about surety bonds.
Okay.
So you're saying that you want, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm asking, you want that added into,
Right.
but you want you want the same language, or?
I don't know if the language is right. I know
Okay.
if it's worded right, I know.
So the only two things you want to take out is the 6,000, I'm sorry, make it 6,000, and the surety bonds, correct? Is that the only two things?
And yes, information about the bond.
Now,
Then-
trustee Brewer, what you gave us, on the second page of this, you have 2 section 4s. So I'm sure it's just where, because of adding this, you added section 3.
Okay.
Then there's 2 section 4s. I think it needs to be renumbered.
Right,
And
right.
of course, the committee did not have an issue with adding this. We knew that it had to go back to 6,000 because it hadn't been done earlier this year. And we don't have a problem with it, but of course, we can only give you our recommendations. It's up to you if you want to add it or you don't want to add it. But we know that it has to go to 6,000.
Well, the section 3 that we discussed, that's part of the Sauk Village Code, so if, it's necessary, so I can bring the copy.
It's part of, you said section 3 is part of Sauk Village Code, what do you
Yes,
mean?
this Sauk, there's a portion in the Sauk Village Code that addresses the bond, and it should be that every treasurer needs to have a bond.
I understand that, but you said, when you made the statement in Sauk Village Code, what do you mean? I mean, in this particular
That's where I
ordinance,
got the language from, the Sauk Village Code.
I'm still not understanding what Sauk Village Code has section 3 that deals with just the treasurer. So all you want to do is just amend this particular ordinance to say what you just said, and also to stick in section 2 and to change that from 14,000 to 6,000, correct? And then you want to have the ordinance review committee to, who's going to submit it to the lawyers?
Well,
The changes, who's going to submit it to the lawyers?
Well, I usually will come to you and say, I need to submit this.
Okay.
If you think this needs to go to the attorneys to add this,
Well, I'm
I
just,
can send it over
because
to
some
them,
of the, but she said that the language, that's what I'm saying. Are you okay with the language?
I want to ensure that the language is right. That's
that our treasurer has a bond, that they're bonding.
right.
You want it in
And
the
that
ordinance,
goes to- Right. Your review. then
which
you
is
send it
fine.
to the attorney.
We did not have an issue with that.
Okay. Well,
You know,
it's fine.
you're saying it's a Sauk Village code. Is it a municipal code? I mean,
It's a municipal code. I can get you, tomorrow, give you a single copy code, but it's actually a code there.
but we did not have an issue as far as adding this language. And we know it has to go back to.
I just wanted to make sure that.
That and then the surety bond.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh, well, we had to affect when what day was it when we passed the budget?
Okay, so that, it never went back from 18, I don't know because I wasn't here, from 18 to 6, it's still at 18,
No,
No,
14.
14, so this budget,
right,
so the effective date is budget.
right, right. Whatever the date of budget was approved.
So what you want to do is bring it back to another, do you want it to come before a committee, or you want to go straight to a board?
I think it should say effective upon passage of the ordinance.
Well, that's fine. Pass it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but I mean, do you want to present this ordinance next week, or do you want to wait? Or do you need time to wait to present this?
I don't think we need time to wait. All we have to do is.
I was asking
Yeah.
trustee.
Right, I mean, if you have an issue with what it's saying,
Right, that's what I'm saying, you
Right.
need to get a copy.
I mean, we're okay with how it is here. Of course, like effective, it should be upon passage of the ordinance. If that could be typed in, to be amended. Does it need to go to the attorneys? Do you feel it needs to go to the attorney?
Unless, I just want to make sure the wording is correct.
As far as the body?
As far as because the way it's worded now, I mean, it's a little suspect because it says maintain a surety bond in such a sure equal to the current cash balance. I just wanted to make sure that cash balance on hand. Now, what does that mean, cash balance on hand? So, in the minimum of 50,000, not to exceed 2 million. So I'm just want to make sure we're not dipping into something that may or may not come back to bite us later. So, but yeah.
So,
that-
do you
my
want me
thing
to
was-
send it to the attorney?
I would
Okay.
like, yeah, and then,
Okay.
we can always, because next week will be the last meeting that we'll have this, and the next month is going to have 2 meetings. So, we need to, the lawyers doesn't take that long. They shouldn't take that long. Well, they just want to make sure, when it comes to for reading, not reading, when it comes to ordinances, you want to be correct, because whatever you pass is what is going to go back. All right,
Right.
all right, the next item is amendment of ordinance 18-012, chapter 78, article 2, section 78-24, temporary rehabilitation water.
Now, our committee reviewed this, and trustee Brewer had several changes she wanted to see in it. We want to leave it the way it is, but you're going to have, I'm sure you haven't heard what she wants, but there was you had a policy and procedure that she had given to the board. Well, we don't review policies and procedures. That's up to the board to review that. Now, in this ordinance, I think you wanted it stated that you have to follow policies and procedures. Our committee wants to leave the ordinance the way it's sitting. Now, I know also was a line item in there. We don't believe a line item should be in an ordinance, to state a line item. So, do you have the, because I didn't have it.
Which one is, okay, you got 2 here, which one is the amended one?
The one that would be trustee Brewer, she had written on it.
Okay, that's the amended? Yes, okay, so this will be the amended one. And you're amending,
Well, no, we didn't amend it.
okay,
The one that trustee Brewer wrote on, you'll see is there writing in the corners of it? on the
Yes,
front?
yes, I see
Okay,
that.
that's the one that she wants to have.
And
That's the one she was amending. The original ordinance that we had, that we amended last year, the committee does not want to change it. We're not recommended to do that.
So trustee,
I think what needs to be done is you need to look at the policies and procedures because she had come up with that and gave it to us several, I don't know, maybe a month ago?
Okay, well, let me explain to you what, when we did the, okay, hold on a minute, now. Gotta get my notes. The intent for the amendment of ordinance 18-0112 was done because, first of all, what we want to do is establish a policy and procedure. Mr. Finch and Cynthia and I all sat down and we talked about the kind of things that we needed in order to address the rehab water issue. And one of the things is, and everybody should have got a copy of the ordinance that had the actual changes in it. What we wanted to add was a $500 penalty to the ordinance in case, like when rehab water is on and people from the housing comes in and they take owner of the tank, they move into the property without letting us know that we should charge them some kind of fee for being in the.
It is on. Her mic is on. Okay, well, her mic's on. You might want to pick it up and hold it. There you go.
So, hello?
Is it green?
Hello?
It's on. Okay, what we tried to do on this ordinance 18-0112 is to amend the ordinance to include a $500 penalty to owners, because at some point we had all these tenants moving in without getting occupancy certification. So what we were trying to do was charge a penalty, so once they move in, because they were running up the water bill, and nobody was paying it because the tenants didn't feel like they should pay it, and the owners don't think they should pay it. So our thing was to make it impose a $500 penalty on the owner if he allows a tenant to move into the property without getting a certificate of occupancy. That was part of the policy after we wrote it up. Also, once we start collecting the money for the temporary rehab water, we wanted to establish a line item for establish a surplus for getting these funds in there, because the thing is that a lot of owners are letting tenants move in, they running up the water bill. When they come in, there's too much for them to pay. So then they're on a payment plan when they shouldn't have, the rehab water should have been cut off before the tenants got in there. A lot of owners are taking advantage of it and just letting tenants run in there. So we imposed a $500 fee. Cynthia and Mr. Finch and I sat down and we talked about the kind of things that we could do in order to sort of deter their activities and letting people in, tenants move in without making some kind of arrangements for paying for water before they get in there. So that's what it's about. So what I have to do is present this back to you. You might want to take it to the attorney, because it's the same thing as 18-0112. We just added the line number in the $500 penalty in there.
Trustee.
Yes.
This is your draft, correct?
Yes, it's draft.
Okay. And I don't see anywhere in here that says $500.
No, I don't know. Because
I mean,
I didn't give you the policy and procedure.
I mean,
The policy and procedure is something different than the ordinance itself.
I understand that.
Okay. So when we reviewed the rehab water, okay, which has nothing to do if they don't pay their water bill, it's the rehab water. To me, this is what we did last year. I believe it was, well, let me look and see, 2018. The ordinance review committee does not want to change anything. It was redone last year. The wording was redone. Now, if you're talking $500, that would be your policy and procedure. I don't believe it should be in the ordinance. I see a line item number here with a water account, line item. Rehab to me is different than the regular water bill. A rehab, there's got to be an internal issue here that the system needs to be in place. If someone comes in to do rehab, it's up to someone in the office here to follow up 30 days later and then shut it off. This is telling you that it's 30 days. I mean, this, to me, that with rehab water, they're saying, well, it's been there since 2018, and no, that's an internal issue. Someone is not following up on people applying for rehab water.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand
That's my
that.
personal, so
Right.
we don't want to change anything in that ordinance, but it's up to the board.
Well-
Because you see what she wants.
Well,
Brewer wants to-
because we weren't quite sure of which way to go, because I think we talked about this before, and if not mistaken, in my notes it says adopting the policy and procedures. So we have what we were trying to do, but we didn't know if it's supposed to be a resolution or a policy and procedure, because nobody was really sure of what we were supposed to do. So the information that's out there is just, you guys need to let me know, do we know? Policy and procedure, resolution, or, you know, since you said you didn't want it in an ordinance, so we need to know which way to go with this.
Okay, what I was gonna say is, okay, you have on the, okay, we're not gonna go who didn't do or whatever. You have on the books, after 30 days, in other words, you apply for rehab or construction water. When you apply for it, you give that person how long you want to apply for it. You want it for 10 days, you want it for 20 days. I think the max you can go with 30 days. Anything after that is supposed to be shut off. Okay.
Well, that's an ordinance, yeah.
I'm looking at that right here. It says 30 days. Now, what you're saying is, if it's not shut off, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not shut off and it's still on, that somebody's got to pay $500?
No, we are saying that once a tenant comes in and they know it's rehab water, that,
A tenant wouldn't know it's rehab water.
well, wait a minute, okay? Once a tenant comes in, they take possession of the property, okay? The owner of the property generally knows that a tenant is there, and they should be charged some kind of penalty for letting, hold on a minute, Sherry, a resident, okay?
Well, I'm trying to follow you. I'm
Okay.
saying that the owner should know that there's rehab
When
water.
they bring in a,
Okay, they should, okay, in order to get an occupancy permit, you cannot have rehab water.
well, that's not the case. Lately, rehab water has been left on,
Okay,
okay? And the bill runs up,
okay,
okay? So now, for some reason, the tenant is there, okay? The tenant winds up having to pay for the rehab water because nobody changed the account, okay? This has been an ongoing thing, and we have long bills from tenants where they saying, well, the water was on before I got here, and they wind up paying for it. So what we're trying to do is sort of curtail what's going on and set up some policy and procedures
that's,
where.
okay, that's where the policy and procedure came
Right.
in. You cannot set an ordinance for what someone else did.
Well, that's what we're trying to
That's what I'm saying,
find out.
you can't put an ordinance in for something like that. You can
That's-
have a policy, you want to change the policy and procedures and change that, and then later vote on that policy and procedure. Yes, you can.
That's what,
But to
that's,
change the ordinance itself, because the ordinance states one thing, but it doesn't give a penalty. There's
but,
no penalty in the ordinance. Policies and procedures, there's a penalty.
I-
Not in the ordinance, there's no penalty. It states this is what it is, so much money a day, and for 30 days, $225. But as we know, you cannot, and you're not supposed to get an occupancy permit unless you have an inspection, which means that if you have rehab water, you cannot get an occupancy permit.
the intent is not to change the ordinance. The intent is to keep this as a supplement so you'll know why we're doing the policy and procedures.
Keep what is a supplement?
The ordinance.
No, you can't keep the ordinance, it's not a supplement. You have to have an ordinance. If you want to change the policies and procedures and have them rewritten, that's different Then if you wanted some help with the language, that's possible too. And then you can present that to the board and say, okay, this is what we have now. I would like to change the procedures to X, Y, and Z. And you've had it already looked at and so on. Then you can present that to the board and say, okay, this is what I would like to do. And the board can vote on those policies and procedures. But an ordinance is a lot different than policies and procedures.
Well, Mr. Mayor, cut you off, but that's the intent. We are not trying to change the ordinance, but that's why I keep saying, for some reason, we don't have the copy of the policy and procedures here. I don't know what happened to it. So that's why I'm saying you don't have it, so you can't review it.
No.
But what we don't have
Do you
it.
want to change, my question, do you want to change the policy and procedures?
Is there a policy?
It's already
procedure-
drafted.
No, is there a policy and procedure already in place and now are you redoing it?
No, there is no policy and procedure
Now,
for
the
that.
policy and procedure was given to us, I want to say,
Right.
when you
Yes,
presented the
right.
ordinances.
There is a policy and procedure in place.
There's a policy and
Yes,
procedure in
yes,
place.
yes, Mr. Finch.
Oh,
Thank you. Okay, kind of picking back on what Trustee Todd and Trustee Brewer was saying, the challenge that we have with rehab water is twofold. One, the process that is currently in place does not work. So what Trustee Brewer is trying to accomplish, let me tell you, what's going on now, we have investors get a property, let's say they get rehab for two weeks. We find out 6 months later, they moved in a tenant. And then we try to go after that tenant to collect the water that's been used after the 2-week period is extended. Then the investor nor the tenant wants to pay the water. So now we have an issue with that. So my suggestion has always been, because it's the first village that I've ever been in that have a rehab, quote unquote, terminology used. At the end of the day, the property has to have a meter. My suggestion was have the investor come in and get a meter installed. Once the meter is installed, we can have part of our process and procedures, have public work read the meter once they get done rehabbing. Now we have an accurate count of what water is used. Actually, I have some paper. So once, I'm sorry, I wrote it down. Just a second. So we made them get a meter. Then we internally will have an account set up, a water account set up that we currently do not necessarily have in our system. So right now, the way it is set up, they come in, they pay for rehab water for 2 weeks. We are supposed to put in the book. There is a major miscommunication to how that is going to be put in the book. We were told that those appointments put in the book would not be cut off. That is not here or there now, but that's what we was told 3 months ago, that certain individuals do not cut off rehab water. So that process broke down. And so my suggestion was, oh, that's true, Sherry. We can bring it to you.
Okay.
No, see, let me say this, Mayor, before you finish. This is our issue. Nobody wants to believe that the old way is dysfunctional. That is what was told, and I will tell the gentleman in his face, if he said he did not say that, he told us at a meeting, when we had department head meeting, he do not cut off rehab water. If you go back to that book, back in May or June, we was putting rehab water in the book up front. One of the public works person said he do not cut off water. We stopped putting it in the book. So that's what happened. There's a big disconnect on what is going on, and nobody wants to call people to the carpet and find out the truth. That is the truth. And if you think it's not the truth, explain to me how we have rehab water that's still on for 2018. I wasn't here then. The people at the front desk wasn't here then. It's because the system, and I'm not pointing fingers, if we stop doing that and really work on an agenda, how to fix it. So my suggestion was, if you got, like we have a lady last week, been in the house since early October, bought the house, meter originally was in the house, meter is now gone. The lady didn't know anything about not having a meter. Whose fault is that? It's not hers. Now she's at a point, she said, I would pay for a meter. She was told, oh, your pipe messed up. Now she gotta go pay for a plumber. Had the investor bought a meter initially, came in and got a difference between his deposit and the actual water used, which would be less than $7.50 per day, we would cut him a check. The new tenant would have been forced to come in, which is part of the ordinance, forced to come in and get an inspection, get a CO. Now, nobody is missing a beat on who's responsible for paying the water. There's a major problem when we come to rehab. And I'll take any questions if you disagree.
So basically, you want to change the procedure.
I want to change the ordinance.
No, see, that's the problem we have right there.
I want to,
Okay, what do you, okay, what?
the purpose of a rehab water is
Okay.
saying, because I was an investor, is I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna rehab it temporarily, and I'm gonna move on. The problem is, if the investor moves on, and that house has a straight pipe, which most of them do, who knows when that house has a tenant? You guys said in the budget, there's not enough code enforcer. You guys said in the budget, there's not enough public works directors. So who knows when the investor, like myself, moved in a tenant without an inspection? So I'm saying, make the investor put in a meter, he gets the meter, when he used the amount of water that he's gonna use, because some of them go longer than a week, some of things happen, he gets the difference of the deposit that he placed down to get that meter. There's no difference, it's just a matter of when do he get the money back.
Okay, so let me get this,
They don't, there's a bunch of houses that do not have meters. No,
okay,
they do not. No.
that part I did find out, there are homes that don't have meters in them, so, and they're living in them. I asked that question myself, but what I want to know is, the ordinance that you want to amend, this is the one you want to amend, but I'm still not clarified on the language you want to amend it.
I think that has to be a longer conversation, Mayor.
Okay.
Not amended now, but I
Okay.
think it has to be a discussion because there's so many moving parts. in
Okay,
this
that's what I'm
process.
looking at. So therefore, you don't want to proceed, you want to put this as an ordinance, but you wanted to amend to say, so could we get that in some type of a draft form? So it can be presented, but at least we can, or do you want to take it and go right to the lawyers, or do you want to draft up something to give to the lawyers and they can bring back what your draft is, or have you look at it and see if that's what we really want before we even.
I think all parties involved, we should draft something,
Okay.
discuss it, and work it out how it's gonna actually pan out, from start to
Because
finish.
once you get it, then if it's a go bid ordinance, especially if it's new, then it has to go before the ordinance review committee.
Correct.
So then you want to, trustee Wade.
So what you're saying is somebody comes in and gets rehab water. So what you're saying is somebody comes in and gets rehab water, I'm an investor, and I get it for 30 days. After the 30 days, nobody checks to make sure that I didn't come back in and renew it? Or, I mean, there's no way to, because then what we're doing is, there's got to be a tickler file that said, I came in on the first of the month, and if I'm not back here by the first of the next month with a tenant or a certificate of occupancy, I should be able to get additional rehab water. That's not happening, so we're going months and months without paying for our water, and then we have a bill that's several months old and nobody wants to pay it. So why isn't somebody paying attention at the end of the time that
It's
the,
been going on for years.
no, why aren't we doing that rather than change a policy or something? Why aren't we watching that this person still has rehab water and renew it?
It's slowly changing now, that's supposed to be back. I have confirmed with Cynthia, but it's supposed to be now being put back in the book. So if you come in and you got it for 30 days, the way I've told them now, that day after the 30th day, put it in the book to be turned off. What has happened, or was happening was, you'll come in today, you fill it out, it gets stuck in the file get over here. And that's what caused you to have 6 months, a year of people getting rehab, and then when we say, okay, let's see what's in this file.
There's got to be a tickler is what I'm saying. In 30 days, there should be a day every month, then if it runs out, okay, we shut it off, or they come in and pay more money.
The 19th, pull the 19th out, here we go, Kevin, shut it off.
Should pop up on the
That's what
calendar.
we're trying to explain to them. There's a lack of communications there, that the water was constantly running, and people moving in, and nobody
should never happen.
So that's what we were trying to do, draft some kind of policies and procedures on what we should do, like step 1, step 2, step 3, on what point and what time we should cut this water off and address it with the tenants. Because once the rehab has a rehab account number, once the tenant gets there, the account number should be changed to a regular, risk account. Well, that's what we were trying to do, add, rehab account number, start with R.
Rehab gets shut off the day that they pay up to the
Okay.
day.
Okay,
And
so,
then after they have their inspection, they come in and fill out their deposit. And when Public Works goes to turn the water on, they should check to see if there's a leak.
okay, well, that I've asked about for a while, and a lot of that has been overlooked for quite a period of time. The list was long. We've had people that had water that was on, we couldn't cut off for whatever reason it might be, and I've asked to have that taken care of too, because people know, if you got a water bill of $2,000, you know that you can't get your water. So therefore, but neither here nor there. Right now, we're gonna deal with what we want. So right now, you want to have something in place. You'd rather have an ordinance than a procedure, and you want that ordinance to be, written. You're going to have to print it, I'm sure it goes to the ordinance, to look at it, look at it, and
We have to do the procedure, process of procedure in place, which is kind of what I had this evening. But I do think it has to be a discussion among the parties involved, myself, in front. Okay. Now, let me say this. I tried having that discussion 4 or 5 months ago with Kevin, and he shot it down. With the person who's in charge, and he shot it down.
Okay,
We need to bring Kevin here and let him explain.
well, what we'll do is not just doing it like that. We have a village administrator here. So then it can go between, I'm not gonna have doing at the public, no. We can have you, trustee Brewer, and village administrator, and then Kevin. And then if you need me, find out, that's no problem. But you guys can go and discuss that rather than go back and forth, because when you start adding more people to it, then you start getting,
So I say, let's do the policy and procedure
Okay.
first, and then see.
Okay, so you want to do policy and procedure first, see what that looks like, present that to the board, and let
Yep.
them decide on, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a way to have a dedicated person for, reconnection?
That's up to Kevin.
I know a dedicated employee.
Just one.
Because we got to have that, we got to have that water off.
Well-
We're losing all this money because we're letting other things get in the way, and because this stuff is just getting put out one side and that's the other. I say if 30 days is up, there's a dedicated person.
Trustee, that sounds good, but sometimes we get emergencies that happen, then that particular shut-off gets put to the side, so, I mean, there's a list, and I get a copy of it each and every, week. There's a copy of each and every month, because it changes, north and south, of what needs to be shut off. There's quite a few people on there, and they try to get it down as close as possible. However, does it all get shut off? No. Does it all happen by the end of the month? No. So then the next month, they're doing the other side, and then they still have this side to do that. So that's what's been happening since I've been doing it, since I've been mayor. That's what happened. We've gotten much better now. We're shutting off more and more, but does it ever get to the point where all of them are shut off? No.
I understand changing the ordinance or policy is not going to say something about the water off.
Well, that's when they need to have a conversation and find out if there's a dedicated person in Public Works also that can work with that and say, okay. But then again, if there's an emergency, all hands on deck on that, and then they should go back to doing that. And this discussion is probably only going to last for the next 2 weeks. After that, we don't shut water off in Los Angeles.
Well, I mean, just to give you a little info, part of the policy and procedures, and we don't have them here with us, is that once the rehab water is shut off, then if a tenant comes in, they get a certificate of deposit. At that point, that tenant is supposed to come in and you're supposed to set up an account for them. That has not been done.
The new accounts are given to the owner.
When you
Yes.
move somebody in, it's.
Yes. Well, there were people that have been in it for a while, and their name is still on the account for some reason, and they asked for rehab. I can tell you exactly. They asked for rehab water because they were doing something, and then they wanted to have the rehab water, even though they've been in there for a while.
So that's the problem, and that's what we're trying to correct.
But if their name is on there, they're getting billed.
Yeah.
Whose name is on
You
it?
said they, you need to get better owner.
The owner.
If their name is on the bill, they should be.
That's for the new accounts. That,
Not the rehab account.
Not the rehab.
not the rehab. Mr. Bell, Trustee Bell.
Are we not, are we or are we not fixing to add another step to this process too, with this outside billing?
What'd you say?
The outside billing. We're getting ready to add another step to this whole process, aren't we? We go to the outside billing?
Oh,
What do you mean?
No, that's, if we go to outside buildings, it'll be once a month, and that, whatever procedures we have in place, they have no choice but to follow.
Now, when we do rehab
All they do
water,
is collect,
rehab water,
send the bills out, basically.
is it all, is everything we do on paper or is it in the computer?
You asking me?
To me, I think if I'm coming in on July the 19th, 2018, I want rehab water. That means on August the 19th, it should be shut off, correct?
Right, that's what it
Should
should
it
be.
pop up the day in the calendar?
Well, I mean, if we,
That's what it should.
if it was done that way, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I want to have the people that's involved, sit down, because we can go back and forth here. Have them sit down, then they can come back to the board with whatever answer that they have and what they came up with. Right now, we're just speculating. Yes, yeah, Mr. Finch should be involved.
You said there's a date that they don't want to cut off.
No, there's not a date, it's a temperature. We don't shut water off when it's freezing.
Okay, but it's below,
30 degrees, yes.
something about zero.
Who said zero? I'm sorry. Below freezing.
Which is 32. So if we don't do this soon,
That's what I said, you're only gonna have a window.
waiting for.
And believe me when I tell you this, the tenants already know this.
Right now, most, but not all, of the rehab water accounts have been turned off. We did like a purging of the files maybe 2-3 weeks ago, so that has been done. Those rehab water that has not been turned off is because they can't get on it or they can't locate it, which is another issue because how did you get the water on in the first place? But that's another part of the whole process. But majority of the rehab waters are turned off. And that's, like I said, that's how that lady.
You want to know moving forward. we have a
Yes,
policy.
moving forward, we have accountability.
Okay, I understand that we're, let's keep calm. All right. Well, no, right now, you just want to hold and let them decide what they want to bring. Let them talk about it, let them come up with something. All right. I'm sorry, well, yes, I referred it to a committee, ad hoc committee, okay. The next item is, budget and finance updates. Mr. Finch is sitting right there, so.
So. Let me see. You guys should have a copy of the general, you should have several copies. The first one should be the general fund, that's the big one. It starts with property taxes on the first page. Everybody has it? No, that's not yours. I think the next one. Okay. So, you don't have that. What I just passed out to you is the revenue portion. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the expenses side. 'Cause like I said before, when we started this whole appropriation process, revenues are what they are. So the first few pages of what you're looking at in the general fund is all revenue driven. Most of my property taxes Our property taxes are not posted yet because it goes through either amalgamated or the general fund account. They're not posted because we haven't worked on those particular bank recs for the months after May of this year. But I'm gonna explain that part in the sheet that I just handed to you about the actual revenues that we do have from May to now. So if we can just turn to, let me see, and get into the expenses. We can start on page 9. Page 9, as you guys know, this is similar to how we did the appropriations, so it's broken up by departments. So page 9 starts with the administration department. I ran this from May through October, so if you see at the bottom, this is 50% of the fiscal year has already elapsed, right? Okay. What I want to bring attention to, there's still things we have to tweak in this process as we go out of this budget into the next fiscal year. So for instance, if you look at the fifth line down, 00.005, 541.000, okay. The third column, you see $109,557. That's what was budgeted. But if you look off to your left, you'll see $325,000 some change. That's what is expense. So, but before you get alarmed, what the appropriation we did and approved was set up to break out health insurance by departments. However, currently when we pay it under one department. So if you recall, when we was doing the appropriation, I was saying we was gonna put the IT consultant under one administrative department. There's no sense to put them under fire, police, because it's all in the general fund. So what I'm gonna do, my cousin called me 3 times. That 109, as we get to the police department, I'm gonna shift their fringe benefit other to the administration side, so the number don't look so out of whack as we go forward into this budget. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you go down to where you see telephone, this is a part of the budget that I talked about. When we meet once a month, or at least once a quarter with the department head, what we have to be focused on. So if you see right now, for telephone, the budget is $17,400. We've already spent $22,500 in 6 months. So the question that, when we do this and we do it correctly, is to say, we're $5,000 over the budget, but we got 6 more months to go. Either we're not gonna use telephone, or we gotta find some money to pay the telephone bills. So within the administration department, we gotta decide either we're gonna increase their total budget for this department, or within these various line items, move money around to make sure we can cover the phone bill going forward. Same thing, if you go further down, you'll see equipment repairs and maintenance. We budget $1,400. We've already spent double that, $2,800. So those are the things, and I know we can get in detail with more emails, whatever, that I want you guys to look at in these various departments. And anybody that's over 50% of this budget, 2 things that we're gonna ask the department head with myself and the village administrator, meet with them. Do you think this will be more expensive? Like for instance, I know when we get to the police department, there's a vehicle expense that's already maxed out at the budget, but he's not buying another vehicle. So there's no need to change that line item. He's already spent it, what he was allocated for. So as we go through this budget, anything that's over 50%, we gotta find out are you done spending, or are you anticipating more spending? Like I said, with the telephone, we definitely know there's more telephone bills. Any questions on that?
I do have a question. Is this the budget that was just passed, correct?
Yes.
And this is the reason why some of these are over, is because they were actually taken out. How do you put it? It was taken out of the budget, but it was already spent.
No. Like the fringe benefit. I was told that the fringe benefit was broken up by departments. So when you look at the budget that we approved, matter of fact, let's go to page, let's look at the police department. What is it? 16? Thank you. Okay, so if you go to the police department on page 16, you see friends benefit others, it's $451,000 for the year. We only spent 310. That's because the bulk of the insurance that the village pays is all under administration. But when I did this, I broke it up. If you remember on the compensation sheet, it has every department, what we project to spend for health insurance, so forth and so on. That's what's in the appropriation. So I prefer to take the bill, the Blue Cross Blue Shield bill, and break it up by departments, because what we're supposed to be doing too is doing a compensation report that shows what your total compensation is, not just your salary, which is what our compensation report does. So I'm gonna sit with a person and split up what percentage based on the allocation of personnel goes to what department. So the bill, when you get it and you see it on the accounts payable list, it's gonna be administration, police department, fire department, so forth and so on. But it's gonna be one Blue Cross Blue Shield bill, but maybe broken up into 5 different departments. Make sense? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So when you prepare the budget, say for example, telephone, you prepared that 17,400, we've already exceeded it by $5,000 in one department. That's part of the problem with waiting 6 or 7 months to the budget, is you never were able to watch and see its expenditures going down. Was that $17,000 taken from the last budget?
Actual. Yes.
It was. So this is definitely a concern, right? This telephone was over 5,000 in the first.
And I got details, so if you want to go over details, we can. Right. One of the things that I do think got to be looked at, and I mentioned to the village administrator, your call one bill is over $11,000 a month. I still don't know what we paid.
But it was that way last year when the budget was 17,000.
Yes.
So,
But that was what I think is supposed to happen. That bill was supposed to go away when we switch over to, correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, first communication. I don't think that bill went away. Yes. No, it didn't go away. No. And that's like $11,000 a month for 1 month phone bill.
Question, is there a way to get, last year in the civic,
Is there a way to get last year into this report?
just give us a reference?
I can ask Civic, can we rebuild it? I'm pretty sure we can. So let me work on that, give me some time, because Civic is not the easiest tool to work with. But I will ask them, can they pull in last year data based on the same general electric code so we can see it? So if you guys go through this and see things that I highlighted, some that I thought was that I gotta ask the department heads, but I did want to bring that to your attention to show you where we are halfway into the fiscal year. Now, one of the reports that, because I was told to suggested to make a change, you guys have in front of you the salary. Where's my salary? And I did the salary. I don't see it. It's a one page. It's one you can write right there. Look on top. Yes, it say police, street, water. So again, if you look at, and I remember offhand. So if you look at the police department overtime, again, this is 6 months. You go back to this sheet. You have that with you? Everybody have the payroll? Yes. Okay. So if you look at that as of October, and then you go to page 16 and see what the overtime is, that's a conversation we have to have. You got it, Trustee Williams? Should be on the first page, like Trustee
Should,
Todd has.
it looks like. On that one, you might have to share, I'm sorry. But
But like I was saying, if you look at that sheet, that's the payroll from May to the end of October. And you look at overtime on there for the police department, and look at page 16 of your packet, that's a conversation we have to have. Because now we're trending to be over what we allocated. Now maybe when we talk to the department head, the chief, he'll say, well, that's because we didn't have the 2 people out of the academy. That's because we had a lot of summer months and stuff like that. But that's the kind of conversation we have to have with the department head, because they know what the year is for them. Like, does it get slow in December, January, February? So that overtime pay might start going down the other way. But if not, we'll see that we are already trending to match what we allocated in the budget for.
So what you're suggesting is that we have, we start meeting with the department heads to go over where we are, but to actual now, to see, like you said, address some issues that have come up.
Yes.
We're gonna do this, like, each department, like, once a week, or we're gonna do
I think right now, myself,
When you say we, you talking about you're gonna have.
myself and the village administrator need to sit down.
Okay.
No, not the board.
No,
You're gonna meet with
right.
departments, with the village administrator, you're gonna go.
Yes. 'Cause-
So we're heavy, trying to find a way to.
Right, because we ought to know, for instance, let's take with the police department. Turn to page 17. His total budget was $3.2 million. So the question that I would have for him, based on where you at 6 months into the year, is $3.2 million what you think you need, with the understanding you can't get crazy for the rest of the year. If he says yes, then let's say overtime. Where based on overtime, you're gonna be $40,000 over what we allocated. So where do we get the other $40,000 within these line items that we deduct from, so that we can still stay at $3.2 million? If he says no, I think I'm gonna need, let's say, 4 more police officers, and whatever. During this budget year. Then my question will be like, okay, now you need to come to the board and say, I need you to amend my $3.2 million to $3.3 million. That's when the board will get involved with it. But right now, we need to meet with them, because when we do this again, this is already November. You guys will get another one of these in December. And again, you will see it's gonna say 67% of the budget year is gone. And you can go line by line. And what's ever over, then the department head can say, well, I didn't know I was 70% over. Well, myself and the village administrator has told you at this point in time, you were 60%. What was you doing? Like, if you look, I know in pretty much every single department, vehicle expense is already blown. I don't know how they blew it, but it's already blown. So again, what are we doing the next 6 months of the year to bring that down? Or do we come to the board and say we got to double that because we need vehicles? So those are the questions that have to be answered. And that's why I say it's very important, especially because it hasn't been done. Initially, we meet once a month with the department heads and say, here you go. Where are you at? What do you need to go buy? Like, I don't know, salt, which I think salt is already bought. But let's say we know in January we got about X amount of dollars of salt. That's not in here, but we can add it in here and get that figured already. But if it takes it over the budget, then we got to adjust it. That's the whole thing. But that conversation happens so that when we get to April, everybody won't say, well, we approved $14 million. Now we're $16 million in expenses. Now we get into all the different transfer, where the money coming from, and it becomes a nightmare, especially when the auditors come out here.
And we're gonna continue to have monthly discussions with you.
Yes.
Committee and finance well.
Yes, you get it once a month.
Talk to them through the month, we get
Yep.
monthly.
And then as we go through it, and they need more money, then that's a conversation. You guys, because you guys got to vote 2/3 amended. But if they say no, 3.2 million is enough for me, then when I come with you guys and you say, well, chief is tracking to be over overtime. I'm say, yes, he's tracking to be over overtime. But this line item, let's say it's $10,000, he says he's not going to use it. So that's where we're finding money from. Because if you go through, you'll see some of them have been spent. Some of the money have been spent in 6 months. But that's what I wanted to do. Any questions? I know it's a lot, but we have to start that process to start analyzing the numbers.
Let me ask you something. I don't see a page here for MFT funds.
No, we don't.
Okay, we don't have one here?
No, we do have MFT fund. I did print it out because reason I didn't put in, I did do water and sewer. The reason I didn't do MFT fund was because that money that comes in is the only money that can go out. So if only 300,000 come in, that you can only, and let me take that line back. In the appropriation, if you get in 300,000, you can only allocate 300,000. But you can spend 400,000 if you got 100,000 in the bank. We good? Before we go to the next one? Go ahead.
Maybe I probably need to talk to you about this later, but, okay, but the MFT funds, a lot of those funds are used for tips, okay?
No.
It's totally separate.
No.
Okay, there's a pot of money where some of the MFT funds come out of the tip, used for tip.
No.
Okay.
The TIF,
Yeah.
the TIF and the MFT are two separate restricted funds. Okay.
MFT is motor fuel tax. Anything to do with streets.
I
Even in the TIF, we still have to salt those streets. So that salt is paid for with MFT money.
I saw it somewhere.
But there's no MFT money that goes, what in other words, there's no TIF money. We don't use it. We do use TIF money to the TIF area expense, but not MFT. MFT is for the streets, anything that, you know, from repairing to salting to potholes to all that type of stuff. And certain equipment is eligible for MFT. If there's anything to do with the street, that's motor fuel tax. If you get in all the time, there's no set amount. But there shouldn't be nothing there that you use it for the TIF. That's what I'm trying to figure out, where did you get the MFT?
I know, I can show you the paper. I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Block grant, I saw it somewhere.
Block grant, no, block grant money is not for the TIF either.
So the other sheet I want to take you guys' attention to is a two-pager. It's the revenue, the one I just passed out when I sat down. It was not in your packet. Okay. Earlier I was saying that in your general fund you didn't have revenue. So what I did, majority, if not all of revenue, you can get from the state website. So again, the top part of this is the property taxes, which at this point is not posted. But if you look into the middle where it says intergovernmental, off to the right-hand side is what I'm projecting now as far as the revenue we're going to get in. So for the personal property replacement tax, I'm projecting $36,000. I put together a worksheet of what is actually received from May to October, and then what we received from November through April of last year. So typically November through April of last year, this year should be higher. So that $36,000, the way I got that number on an annual basis was I took May to October actual, and then I took November through April of last year actual from the state and said this is what we're going to get. So more than likely it should be a little bit higher than that. So if you look at it, other than the state income tax, everybody else retrending to be the projected target. So state income tax is something that as the year progressed, we need to keep an eye on that, because as you see, that's $200,000 short of what we projected, which means what I was saying earlier about the deficit in general fund, if we are $200,000 short in this money, it's going to impact your general fund. So as we get closer to the expenses, we might have to tell, let's say we got a vehicle being purchased in March. We might have to hold off on that vehicle until May or June so that we don't impact this particular appropriation budget. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. So now if you go down, you'll see what we have in for the licensing and permits. The only thing that, and then this is something that I know, like in Linwood and it was in Markham. Vehicle license, we projected 82,000, we had 64. I don't know, and this is another question that we can talk with the department, the chief. Do we anticipate more of that money coming in? Because that's typically an earlier part of the fiscal year revenue. So right now, if you ask me, we're not going to hit 82,000. However, if they are out aggressively looking for people that don't have stickers, we might hit it. So that's another kind of department head conversation that we have. What can different departments do to help us with our revenue goals, like back to the rehab water? we can collect that money, or we can do these different things that doesn't cost us money, but brings in money. Same thing with, you go look at the fees and services. For the most part, we projected to come in line with what we budgeted.
On page 1,
Yes.
where it says video gaming, we projected 40, and we got 23,000.
No, what, no, right now, we're gonna hit the 40. I couldn't find a website to do that. Because I always try to have data to support my numbers. So, and I can send this to you guys, see now, think about it. Each of these tabs here from the state, each of these revenue from the state, I have the tab to show where the numbers came from. But at gaming, I couldn't remember where to go in to get the gaming number. But based on what we did last year, we're gonna hit that number. I'm not concerned about that number.
We're gonna get 40,000.
At least, yes.
For all 11 sites.
We got 7.
7 sites.
Okay. Now, some of these things, like you turn the page, there's an Illinois Public Risk Grant. That wasn't projected. That's a grant we got from the company that does the workers' comp. They sent us a grant for $23,000 to use for police, public works, fire, anything that they need that relates to safety. If you look at the bottom, the big number, I don't know when you guys are going to ask me, the $128,000 for refunds and reimbursement, we got $122,000 from the county. Is it the logistics center? Mary, was that the logistics center or 223rd? The 122 we got back.
You mean that's from
The county.
yes, from the county, yes.
But what is it for? Was it logistics center or 223rd?
223rd Street.
Okay. So that's money that we got reimbursed for money that we have
And we're
already
still
paid
waiting
out.
on 221st Street now. We're
Right.
waiting on that one.
So that's why that's not in the budget. Now, back to the state income being less, this money can help offset that if it does come in less, because it wasn't projected. Any question about the revenue? I know it's a lot, and it's kind of going fast, but I at least want to give you guys an idea of where we're projecting as far as revenue, where I think we're going to have a shortage at, and then what can we do to make up those shortages. No question? Local debt recovery, that's, oh, yes. Local debt recovery, now bring me to another thing. It goes straight to our bank account. That needs to be posted. So I'm segueing to that too. So local debt recovery and pro champs go straight to our bank account. I know and I didn't reply back to the email. We have some discussion around pro champ. I think pro champ is on here, and that's right now it's like $30,000 that we receive from pro champs.
Yeah.
So that's money that we have basically for not doing anything. We don't have to pay anything or any vendor to go get that money. It's a service that they provide, which if they use properly, it could be beneficial to the village, because now you have somebody monitoring these homes that bank own instead of just letting them sit there, or we got to go out and cut the grass or snow, whatever it is. Vacant and abandoned house, yes, that's protect. Local debt recovery, once they go to, and that's something I need to check into too. Once a ticket is written and whatnot, and we don't get it paid at court, it goes through MCSI. If MCSI does not collect it, they send that information after so many attempts to the state. And then once you file your tax return, if you owe any municipality, they will take that money out of the amount of tax return you got and send it to municipality. And then they have so many days to dispute it. And as long as we have our proof of the ticket and the proof that we went to adjudication, the state will release those funds to us. And that's the process that goes through Cynthia handles. The front desk handles that, sorry. Any question on the revenue or expenses?
On the second page, you got 3,000 on here.
Yes. That 3,000 was returned to us from Robinson.
Oh, they gave us 3,000?
Yes.
You want to explain, why they didn't give us 3,000?
But it was one invoice we paid, they reimbursed.
Okay.
It wasn't a gift.
They reimbursed.
We paid them an invoice, and they returned that money for the project. And I didn't.
They billed us wrongfully, and it was a discrepancy in the bill, so we reissued a check minus $3,000. Okay, you at the, what part, your bank reconciliation now?
Any question on the corporation before we move forward? Okay. Okay. Next is the bank reconciliation. We're probably, like I'm guessing. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, there's over 240 bank recs that gets done in fiscal year. We're down to maybe 48 that still has to be done. We have the general account, the water account, accounts payable, and half of payroll that has to be completed. Then we have to work on amalgamated. Amalgamated is more challenging because there's so many moving parts within that bank account. That's the account that deals with TIF. So patiently wait for me to post TIF so you get a TIF report. But amalgamated is the main one that deals with property taxes that relates to TIF. So we really have 5 bank accounts left to do. The projected target is to have them all, with the exception of amalgamated, no, take that back. With the exception of amalgamated and a general fund, have them all done by the end of this month. Because the general fund is going to take a few minutes because it has so many moving parts in it as far as what we got to post. So, but we will have them all done by end of December for sure.
So 248, still have to do, you said there's 5 accounts that we're dealing with. How far back were we able to go? Because they had to go to July. Were we able to go all the way back to July?
Yes.
All that?
Yes. What I ended up doing was just having the bank send me all the bank statements.
Right. Did you go from the most recent to the furthest back, or did you start from back?
We started from May.
You started from May.
And reason being, no, 18. Yes. Because there's 2 ways you can do a bank rate. Some people do based on beginning balance. Some people, like myself, do it based on ending balance. For me, the ending balance is easier because it's what the bank statement says. When you do the beginning balance, you got to figure out what goes in and out, and all that. So we went back to May and then just worked our way to now. Yep.
Because I know at one time you had said something said something about going to the end and working your way back and might not be able to recover all that.
No, yeah, we did. We went to the bank. Because as long as I have a general ledger and I get the bank statement, we can go back at the starting point. So, yes. And then, speaking of that, I'm touching basing with the Miller Cooper, the auditor Neil. Hopefully, he can come out by the middle of December to give us what is called a list of audit requirements. It's called a PBC, which is provided by client list, so that we can start getting that information gathered now. In addition, it's not on here, just to give you guys an update, because I know we discussed it. They've been out there for the last 3 or 4 months. The W-2s that was in error earlier part of the year, those has been corrected. However, they have not been released by ADP. We're waiting on that. It's a challenge trying to reach ADP, as well as we corrected something with one of the police officer pension. That has been corrected as well. He signed off on it and understand everything that went on with that, to the point where we end up giving him money back as well for his over retirement.
Can you explain that PBC?
It's called provided by client list. It's stuff that, like, they would ask for the minutes, they would ask for an aging water bill list, or aging accounts payable list. They would ask for accounts payable in June, July, and August of this year. It's a list of stuff that they would ask for to get them prepared to come out here and work with us.
So is it possible for us to get a list of banks that we have? Or do we have to wait for the PBC to come and then we'll get it then?
A list of the banks?
Yeah, a list of the banks, and then what the PBCs.
No, the list of the bank and the PBC is different. The list of the bank, you can get that, just go and, I can give you print out of
List of the bank.
what the banks are.
So which audit are we going to, what year?
Fiscal year 19, as of, yes.
When is this for the year?
December 31st. would receive, probably going to receive a letter from the state, more likely. You're going to receive one for the treasury report from the county. So that's due as well as December 31st. That one we might try to, hopefully we get everything posted, we can get that out before December 31st.
So in other words, we can't give any detailed anything right now?
You can't. I can't give you detailed ledgers of the TIF report, but anything up to this point, you can get a detailed ledger with the exception of property taxes revenue.
So, okay,
So like what the stuff that's right here, all this will be detailed.
okay. Okay, but individual funds, I'm asking for a copy of detailed legislation, say for instance, the practice, and you tell me everything that was spent and everything,
Yep.
expenditures, everything, okay.
Matter of fact, you should have, do you guys have that in your packet, the fire fund? Or is it just, that's the 100, that's nothing. So I don't think you have a fire fund, so I can email that to you. That start with 210.
It's gonna be yeah. I'll send you an email.
Any other question or any concern about the finance department?
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So yeah, so go through them and see those accounts that over 50%, and if you guys question about it, I'll try to get it from the department head so we know what's going on with it.
Okay, the next item is trustee Todd, ordinance amending the animal control. You can have it on, baby. Batteries, huh? Is it dead? I just heard, is it? No, it's probably dead. No. Well, it's probably going
Let's see.
down.
Okay. Yeah, turns orange.
Oh,
I'll say the same thing that Cindy and I. One thing, I wanna make some changes first before I get it back to you.
okay.
Okay, this ordinance that you have before you,
No, it's working right now. When it goes down, after a certain period of time, it'll go down.
and that's what it did.
Okay, that,
Now, this ordinance was brought before the committee probably with a former trustee that we had, and it has to do with the dog kennel license. And what that did was, if you had 3 dogs or more, or 3 cats, or 2 dogs and 1 cat, you had to come in and get a kennels license. And your neighbors had to sign a sheet. Well, we found this isn't, people just weren't doing anything with this ordinance. So we decided to redo the ordinance. And you'll see what's lined out is what we don't feel necessary now. We don't feel that there should be a dog kennel, any dog kennels here within our city limits. Now, we also added it where we thought, okay, 2 dogs, 2 cats. We upped it to 4, so it could be 4 dogs, it could be 4 cats, it could be 2 cats, it could be 2 dogs. Now, some people I know do, not rescue, they'll I can't think of the word. They foster, I apologize, it's been a long day. And so, we wanted to just up it by 1. When it comes to apartment buildings or people that are renters, it's up to their renter, their landlord, or the apartment buildings to say, okay, you can only have 1 dog or you can have 1 cat. We don't, but this is for actually our residents that own their homes. So everything is lined out that we didn't feel was necessary in this. Now, do you have the original? You'll see other ordinances in there you don't need to even look at. I appreciate it to the clerk, because usually what happens is we'll get an ordinance. We don't know what got changed on it. This, we've lined it out. But she was kind enough to have other ordinances. But on this ordinance here, do you have it?
which one? You have the new one? No, this is the original. That's the new one.
might be attached.
It has 12 on 24.
No,
No,
no, it
12
is
or 24 is the
not.
old one.
No, don't do 0401.
The new one is not yet.
No, the clerk was nice enough to make the ordinances if you were to see it before. This particular ordinance, what we did, we had them line out what we want removed. So, we're just, our committee's presenting it to you that we just want to up instead of 3 animals, you can have 4. Animals is cat and dog, not chickens and goats and all of that. No, that was put, no, what are you looking at? Don't look at that ordinance. Right, that was added back in, that we did an amendment last year, yes. We did, no, don't be, that has nothing to do with this. So that's what we're presenting. It was a former trustee that came to us with this because the kennels license, people are not even purchasing kennels license. They're not. No, they're not even doing that. But that's why we're bringing it here to amend this ordinance, because we say no dog kennels at all in our city limits. Yes?
Are you already, thinking of doing it dog kennel at this time?
No,
No, not already.
no, right. Because I know this has been in effect for a long time. We're talking many years ago when you had 3 animals. It was usually dogs.
So basically what you want to do is amend the
Right.
old one from 2012 and make this the ordinance now for the animal control, correct?
Right, we want to up, so that instead of 3, well, we'll say dogs or cats, or it could be 2 cats, 2 dogs. We want to up it. So it's 2 dogs, 2 cats, it could be 4 cats, it could be 4 dogs.
So,
Without a kennels license to do, because no one, I don't think, ever even purchases them.
so what you're saying is you wanted to, because here it still says kennels. So do you want to still have kennels or? how you-
No, well, if
Okay.
you're gonna address the kennels, then this is, okay, we went through and eliminated several things in there. Because if someone came in and said, do you have a kennel? Well, this is our ordinance on kennels. We do not really allow.
But now,
With this
they
ordinance.
if they have more than 4 pets, that's a dog or a cat, what provision do we have for that?
And this never really had a provision, even if they had more than 3.
Okay.
I mean, we have ordinances in place.
Okay.
We'll say like, with a dog ordinance, they're not being enforced, is what's happening. So at this point, I think that they would end up probably get a ticket.
Okay,
That you
because
have,
because
you
you're
know,
right,
5
you're
dogs,
right.
6 dogs.
Section 1093-4 says a kennel operated as a business shall be operated only in the premise zone for business purposes.
I'm sorry, which one was it?
That's section 10-93.4 or 93.4.
But it would have to be zoned for business.
Right, so in other words, if they have
Right.
a kennel, they have to be in an area that's zoned for business.
Correct.
So basically not out of the home.
But
Right,
it's not zoned for business.
right. Correct.
So basically, you're saying if they have a kennel, that's the requirement that they have to have a kennel.
It says violations are punishable by a fine not to exceed $750. So there is a fine. It's not being enforced.
Right, and you're right. We have ordinances in place now that they're not being enforced. It would be like your vicious dog, or if you have to have an animal, license. You know, we don't have anyone that's actually able to go around and check, does your dog or your cat have a license? They used to do it many, many years ago. They would call you up.
They would actually come out.
Yeah, we had it where that one time, I think they weren't going door to door, they called you up. No, if you had gotten a dog license like last year, they're gonna call you up,
They would come out.
do you still, yeah. Right. Well, most people don't license it. But this, like I said, this was brought to us a while ago, so thought we'd bring it before the board, and
Okay.
see what what
Well, you can put, you want to put that on the agenda for
Is
next
there any more questions?
week.
Okay.
Okay. I think the last item is, Madam Clerk, access to documents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked to be on the agenda for a couple of reasons. One is to acknowledge the need for trustees to have access to documents that you need, and that also for residents to have access to some documents like ordinances and resolutions. So we have a couple of file cabinets up front that has ordinances and the resolutions. What I've begun doing is I make a summary that's at the beginning, and I just started doing that toward the end of 2018. And it gives the ordinance number, the date of the ordinance, as well as just a couple little words or abbreviations so that you know exactly what the ordinance is, so that you're not hunting and pecking. And I believe that it works until a trustee comes to me and say, I looked for this ordinance and it's not in the drawer. And I'm like, I just checked through all of the ordinances and they were all there. Those that weren't there, I recopied and placed them in the drawer. Well, lo and behold, this week, and if you all were just to go into the office right now, you will see resolutions and ordinances that have been pulled from the file, and they're just sitting on top and amongst other documents that's just sitting on top. It's not acceptable. And then I still look, and there are missing ordinances or resolutions. Please know that I'm not getting on anybody's case, but I'm letting you know this is not how you run a business, and the village is a business. When you remove an ordinance or resolution, it is for you to review it, and or you can even make a copy of it. And then I would ask that you place it back in the drawer. I see someone who knows exactly what I'm talking about because she was doing, a couple people doing it, nodding. That's only fair for the next trustee who's happened to be looking for the same ordinance, that they would have access to it if I'm not in the office to provide it for them. If you say that you want to have access, we're granting access, but you guys got to do it the right way. And please, don't leave the ordinances on top of the file cabinet. That's just not good, okay? So I'm certain that that habit is going to be corrected. One other thing that I'm going to say. By 3 o'clock yesterday, I looked at the trustees' mailboxes, and only 2 trustees had picked up their meeting packets. This was yesterday at 3 o'clock. And as you can see, your packet is quite hefty today. There's quite a bit of stuff in it. There is absolutely no way that you could become conversant of what's in your packet by picking it up today. We worked very hard to get your packets out to you on Friday. I communicate with you as much as I can about the package. And I know some of you were out of town, and it's an exception for a couple of you, but with others, it's every week. You wait till the very end to come in. And your unreadiness causes the meeting to last longer, and it causes just a little more confusion as you're going through your packet looking for something and not realizing that in the majority of instances, it's there. It's just that you've not had an opportunity to familiarize yourself with the document. So, I mean, even if you can get somebody to come in and pick up the packet for you, however, let's be ready to meet when it's time for us to meet. And that concludes what I have to say.
Thank you. Next item, public comments. All questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the business of Sauk Village. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. May not engage in debate or counter replies or rebuttals. I'll state your name, I'll listen to all comments, and I'll respond after all comments have been made.
Okay. My name is Judy Cast. I'm going to deviate from my specialty, and that's our police department, and I want to talk about our fire department. And we're in sad shape right now. It's our understanding that our fire chief, Alan Stoffregan, has recently turned in his letter of retirement, which is a good thing. He has spent a lot of years, and good years. But nothing's been said on email or anything else, although I never see email, but it's not on there about him retiring. And he's been with the department for 50 years. I think it would be a great thing to let us know. But of course, we didn't get let known, so. And my concern is the talk that's going around as to who his replacement is going to be. First of all, Mr. Burgess, you indicated that some time ago that when I asked questions about personnel, etc., you indicated that you would not discuss personnel at an open meeting. And I accepted that. And then recently, you yourself brought personal matters out to the open board meeting and called a new employee incompetent and untrained. The person that you intend to put in position for Mr. Stoffregan or Chief Stoffregan is a nice person and has knowledge with the fire department, is honored the fire department. We have more than one qualified person from within that could take that position over and above the one you have decided you want. And it's disturbing. And it's disturbing because you have an assistant chief with all the qualifications for the position. He's been in that position for a lot of years. And it's Plan's feeling that this is all due to your personal vendetta that is stopping this. And there is a personal vendetta. It started back when Mr. Myers ran with you, when Hanks and you were both running for mayor. And if it's not a vendetta, why hasn't he been here to give reports when Mr. Stoffregan can't be here? Why do you have somebody else? I'd like to know, and I've asked this before. When did the village... My time's up? When did the village start hiring by who the person is, friend or foe, or what color they are, instead of the best qualified for the position. And this seems to be, you know, if you don't like somebody, if you got a personal problem with that person from a while back, well, okay, I don't care how qualified he is, he ain't getting a job. We've had too much of that. And too much of it with this administration, the people put into positions that don't have the qualifications to back them up. I'm not saying this person doesn't have any qualifications. I understand he has degrees, and that's commendable. But it will be the first chief that didn't go up the ranks. Even Al Stoddragan went up the ranks. All of our chiefs did. But you're going to open the door for failure for this young man. Because he may have a degree, but that degree doesn't give him the human aspects of the job. It doesn't give him all he needs to know. The morale with our department right now is at 0. Is he going to get what he needs? Or is he going to get resistance? Or don't you care? Have you taken the time to talk with them and explain to them what's going on and why your decisions are what they are? Have you had the decency to talk to the assistant chief and tell him why you're not moving with him? He deserves that also. I don't care what you say to the man. I don't care what you do to the man. He's always been here for this village. He's always been with a smile, and he doesn't want to talk about the negative. And yet he's not even considered. And that's a shame. And we all, the plan group included, feel that there may even be more involved in why you're putting a young man in the position. And we are asking that the board members keep this in mind, and it's not just this area that needs a forensic audit. It's that area too.
Frank Williams. Just to insert on what Judy was talking about, I think we all feel that way, is to be able to say to, I don't know, I've been knowing the man since I've been here, and I know how he took me under his wings and helped me so much when I was wanting to learn things in this business. I also would like to talk about Mr. Ed Myers. I also would like to know is that we sitting back here, we cannot hear you. And you doing a budget, why can't you do a budget where every one of you would have a mic? So we can hear you back there. We come to this meeting to hear what you got to say, just like you want to hear what we got to say when we stand up here. I would like for that to happen, that everybody has a mic, that we can hear you back here. Some of the things you guys talk about are very good. But just remember, we understood from the word go that you was not coming here when somebody, well, they ain't doing this, they ain't doing that. I understood this. You was coming here to undo and start all over again. That's what you came here to do. So my question is to the trustees and the board, why not sit down whenever a thing like that is for a person leaving a position or you putting a person out of a position, look at the qualification. Let's see if that person knows what he's talking about, or she knows what she's talking about before she put him in that position. Because I know for a fact that some of the things that goes on is not fair. So what I would like to say in closing, please, board, sit down and think about what you're doing and what we want you to do, because that's what we're looking for you to do, is to carry us on. Okay? Thank you very much.
Dennis Sinowik. I'm a 40-year member of the fire department. I'd like to address some of the things that Ms. Cass said.
Stephen Bear has more certifications than Edward Myers. I have more certifications than Edward Myers. I have more certifications than.
Speak into the mic, please, so we can hear you.
I have more certifications than Stephen Bear. However, the surrounding chiefs from this department, from our department, support Stephen Bear. He has got letters of recommendation from many of the chiefs, which the mayor has. He has the support of the fire department. He has spoken with the general membership, and they support him, with the exception of maybe one or two people. So to say he doesn't have the support is totally wrong. I support him. I will teach him. I was unjustly eliminated from the budget without consideration of the things that I do or that I have done as far as getting grants, as far as fixing payroll when it needs to be done. If I don't do it, it won't get done. That's because the people that taught me are no longer here. So if I don't fix the guys' paychecks, they don't get paid properly. These things were never considered. So to say that Stephen isn't qualified, he is the most qualified person down there. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. The position of fire chief was just appointed by the mayor with the consent of the board. I've been here for quite a while myself. Lived here since '82. Seen things go back and forth. Been mayor since 2017. And yes, there were problems in the fire department long before I became mayor. I used to go around as trustee and look at things. I weighed a lot of things into the decision of what I think this village needs to, and the direction it needs to go in. And at this particular point in time, I feel we are, and we've talked about this in executive meeting. That's why none of you guys had a chance to bring anything out, because I felt that I should at least bring it to the board first, let them have a chance to talk and know what's going on, find out the credentials, what type of certification, so the board does know that. Next week, I'll present it to the board, and it'll be voted on. I'm saying all this to say we shouldn't judge people just because. If nobody ever gave anyone a chance, just think some of us never would have had a chance to move forward and do anything. I don't take this particular position lightly, just like I don't take the position of fire police chief, because that's your backbone, that's your first responders in the village. So I don't take it as my friend, person of different race, or somebody being loyal. I'm looking at a person that can do the job. Same thing I did when I did the police chief. Had a lot of blowback from that too. However, I feel that job, that particular position is being well handled, just like I think the fire chief will be well handled. Let's not prejudge anyone yet. Let's not do that. Let's give them a chance, and I feel that with the credentials and the recommendations, the person will do a great job. And yes, I did talk to other people that were involved in it. Yes, I did. So I will present this next week. The board will vote on it, yay or nay, and we'll go from there. But please don't prejudge a person just because you said another person. I appreciate you feel another person may be more qualified, but that's your belief. Nothing wrong with that. And I understand that. They've been here for quite a while too. But that person that you're talking about also has backed the person that I have also chose. So it's more to it than just window dressing is one thing. Hearsay is another. But I'm telling you, I did talk to the people that was mentioned personally and told them my decision and why I was doing it, and they didn't have a problem. As far as a mic for everyone, there are mics. Some people choose, you probably can't hear because they don't speak up to it. Just ask them like you always do, speak up to the mic. So that being said, I'll go with comments from the trustees. I'll start with Trustee Williams. I'm gonna go over this way.
Okay, so this Saturday, November 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., we have our vendor and craft show in the senior center. We are still looking for additional vendors and crafters, and the time is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please pass the word on. We'd like to have a good turnout. This is our first event. We will be having semi-annual events, but this is the first, so this is our kickoff. And also, the Public Events Committee will be meeting on Monday, November 25th at 5 o'clock here in the Rotunda. And as far as the mics are concerned, they're not really that expensive, and I think that we should find a way to add them to the budget. Because when you have to share with somebody else and you're both trying to run through an idea, it does get a little bit, we should have mics. They're not that expensive. I think we should check into it. But that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Trustee Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Ordinance Review Committee will meet on, I had announced December 2nd, but it was really December 9th at 6 p.m. here in the Rotunda. And I just have a comment. I'm one of the trustees that didn't pick up my packet because I was out of town. I left Thursday, came back early this afternoon. But normally I pick up my packets. One of the things with the ordinances that are in the front, I also think that maybe the website should be updated, because I'll pull my ordinances off the website. So I don't usually come in here and do the drawers, so that's my comment.
Okay. Trustee Brewer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say this is a rather delightful meeting we had this evening. However, I did have some invoices that I want to go over, but I'm going to save that to next time because of the lateness of the hour. But what I want to bring it to your attention is that Kane McKinney, we have talked to, and I talked to the village administrator, we have paid them over $17,000 this year alone and $37,000 last year, but we can't get any information from them. Now, I know they're going to have a meeting in December, but my thing is that we have asked for information from them for the last 2 years and can't get anything. We did get, when it came out on the, when they talk about refinancing the TIP, but we actually want these analysis of these summaries that they say we're paying $2,000 and $3,000 a month. We actually like to see some of those. I would like to talk about that more next week, when I can, because of lateness hour. And the other thing I want to talk about is that the village administrator sent a letter to Sauk, it's called FES, to terminate their contract because we have paid them about $1,800 this year alone, and we're web hosting, and we haven't got anything for it. So that's something we want to look into. And only other thing I want to say is that as we look, as trustees go through and look at the invoices, you'll see a lot of things in here, a lot of things that's not quite right. That's why we're pulling some of these things, asking questions. We're not getting supporting documents. Some people are asking for stuff we paid 2 or 3 years ago. So, those are things that we need to look at. So we need to develop another policy and procedure, which I'm working on with the village administrator on what we could do to streamline this process and get a more accurate handle on our accounting when we pay invoices. But I'd like to talk about that in detail next week. So that's the end of my report. Comments, I'm sorry. The next, what is it? The next committee meeting. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Housing Committee will meet December 11th at 7 o'clock here in the boardroom. That's all.
What's that? 7 o'clock? You said next Wednesday? Or 7/11, okay. Trustee Bell?
Thank you. Safety Committee will be meeting 11 a.m. next Tuesday, the 26th, at the Fire Department, 11 a.m. And that concludes my report.
Trustee Grant?
And I have no comment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, only thing I have is tomorrow there is a town hall meeting here at 7 o'clock. That's all that I have. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Moved by trustee Brewer, second by trustee Williams. All in favor? Thank you.